There are two storm systems in motion right now, not building, not developing, moving. One is locked over central Canada, spinning like a slow top, pulling cold air southward into the central and eastern United States and refusing to break down. The other is a powerful Pacific, closed low that crossed the California coastline overnight and is now driving eastward through the southwest with increasing speed and intensity. These two systems are on a collision course, and when they merge, somewhere over the central plains and upper Midwest by the end of this week, the combined atmospheric energy they release is going to produce severe weather, heavy flooding rainfall, late-season mountain snow, and a rapidly developing low-pressure system over the northeast, all simultaneously, all within the same 72-hour window. I want to read you something from the Weather Prediction Center's latest extended forecast discussion, published in the early morning hours today. This is the document that professional meteorologists read before they brief emergency managers, and I can tell you that almost no one outside of operational forecasting has seen it. An amplified upper-level trough associated with a persistent synoptic scale low over central Canada will continue to reinforce below normal temperatures and unsettled conditions across the central and eastern United States through midweek. Meanwhile, an energetic Pacific closed low currently tracking across the interior. Southwest will accelerate northeastward, ejecting into the central plains by Wednesday, where it will interact with the established Canadian trough and surface frontal boundary. The interaction of these two features is expected to support surface cyclogenesis over the northern plains and upper Midwest by late Wednesday into Thursday, with associated heavy rainfall, severe thunderstorm potential, and wind impacts spreading eastward through the end of the week. Two systems, one Canadian, one Pacific. Surface cyclogenesis, the formation and rapid intensification of a low-pressure system at the surface, expected by late Wednesday into Thursday. That is the headline. That is the event. And everything happening between now and that moment, the mountain snow in Colorado and Wyoming, the severe weather threat in the southern plains, the flooding rains in the Mississippi Valley, is the opening sequence before the main atmospheric collision arrives. Today is Monday, May 9th, 2026. Let me walk you through exactly what these two systems are, what they are doing right now, and what the next 7 days look like for every part of this country. Let me start with Storm 1, because understanding it is the foundation for understanding everything else that follows this week. The Canadian blocking low is not a new feature on the weather map. It has been parked over central to southeastern Canada for nearly 2 weeks, spinning in place, pulling cold air southward in a continuous curtain over the central and eastern United States. It is the reason temperatures have been running 5 to 8 degrees below normal across the Midwest and Ohio Valley this week. It is the reason frost advisories were issued for portions of the Great Lakes region over the weekend. And it is the reason any approaching system from the west cannot simply track independently across the country. A blocking low does not just sit there passively. It creates a pressure gradient that forces any incoming Pacific energy to interact with it, to merge with it, rather than slide around it. Storm 1 has been setting the atmospheric stage for this week's event since last Wednesday. It is the northern stream anchor that Storm 2 is about to collide with. At the surface, the cold front associated with Storm 1 is already draped from the upper Midwest southwestward into the central plains. By Tuesday, that front extends from the Great Lakes southward into Kansas and Missouri, placing it directly across the corridor where Storm 2's ejected energy and Gulf moisture are going to intersect. Communities along that frontal boundary, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, and Ohio, are already watching the sky today for the first organized convection of the week. Isolated to scattered thunderstorms are possible along and ahead of this boundary. Monday afternoon and into Monday night, as a strengthening low-level jet increases southwesterly flow and effective wind shear climbs above 35 knots. MLKP values of 1,000 to 1,500 joules per kilogram are forecast across the mid-Mississippi Valley corridor after dark. Not an outbreak. Not a moderate risk event, but organized storm structures with isolated large hail and locally damaging wind gusts are possible, particularly in the overnight hours when the low-level jet peaks and storm mode becomes most favorable for hazardous weather. Set your overnight alerts before you go to sleep tonight if you are in Kansas City, St. Louis, Indianapolis, Columbus, or anywhere along the Interstate 70 corridor. Now, let me introduce Storm 2, because this is the system that is accelerating and the one that defines the character of the rest of this week. The Pacific closed low that crossed the California coast overnight is currently tracking across the interior southwest. Closed lows behave differently from standard shortwave troughs. They move more slowly, maintain their identity longer, carry more upper-level energy, and have a disproportionately large impact on the weather systems they encounter. Right now, this system is dropping late-season snow on the high Sierra and the mountains of Arizona and New Mexico. Snow levels are falling from above 9,000 feet towards 7,000 to 8,000 feet as the core of the low passes through the region today. For mountain communities in the southwest, today is a travel awareness day. But the more important story is what happens as this system accelerates toward the Rockies and Front Range by Tuesday and Wednesday. WPC probabilities for at least 6 inches of snow are greater than 50% above 8,000 to 9,500 feet in northern Wyoming and Colorado through Wednesday night. The Medicine Bow Mountains, the Bighorns, the Wind River Range, and the Colorado High Country are all in line for significant late-season snowfall. Mountain passes in Colorado and Wyoming face winter driving conditions from Tuesday night through Thursday morning. If you have travel planned across those corridors this week, check road conditions Wednesday evening before you attempt any mountain pass. The more dramatic transition comes as Storm 2 clears the Rockies and ejects into the Central Plains Tuesday night into Wednesday. This is when the system stops being a mountain snow producer and starts being a plains severe weather driver. The surface low that develops over the southern plains on Wednesday will tap Gulf moisture that has been loading behind Storm 1's cold front for days. Dew points surging into the low to mid-60s across Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. A low-level jet increasing through Wednesday evening and overnight. Effective bulk shear climbing above 40 knots as the ejecting upper energy creates a strongly sheared environment above the moist boundary layer. Wednesday night is the primary severe weather window for the southern and central plains corridor. Large hail, damaging wind gusts, and a tornado threat are all on the table for communities from western Oklahoma northward through central Kansas and into southern Nebraska. If you live in Wichita, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Emporia, or anywhere in that western plains corridor, Wednesday afternoon is your window to prepare. Know your shelter. Have your alerts active before you go to bed Wednesday night. And then the merger. This is the event the WPC is flagging, the event that separates this week from an ordinary active weather week and places it in a different category entirely. As Storm 2 ejects into the central plains and begins accelerating northeastward, Wednesday night into Thursday, it runs directly into the pressure gradient and energy field established by Storm 1's Canadian blocking low. The result is surface cyclogenesis, a surface low that rapidly deepens and organizes over the northern plains and upper Midwest by late Wednesday into Thursday. When two synoptic scale atmospheric systems with this much energy interact and combine, the weather they produce together is larger, more organized, and more widespread than either system could produce independently. For the Mississippi Valley and Ohio Valley, the heavy rainfall associated with the prefrontal environment ahead of the merger arrives Wednesday into Thursday. Rain falling on ground that has been receiving above normal precipitation for 6 consecutive weeks. Rain falling into rivers that are already running elevated from repeated April storm systems. Rain falling on soil moisture profiles that are at or above capacity across large portions of the Tennessee and Ohio valleys. The flash flood threat from this frontal passage is not a secondary concern. It is a primary threat. A marginal to slight risk of excessive rainfall is likely to be posted for portions of the lower to middle Mississippi Valley, the Ohio Valley, and the Tennessee Valley as the cold front sweeps through Thursday into Friday. The turnaround, do not drown message applies anywhere from Memphis northward through Louisville and Cincinnati this week. For the Northeast, the developing cyclone itself. When cyclogenesis occurs over the northern plains and upper Midwest in this pattern, the storm system that emerges tracks northeastward, deepening as it goes, and arrives over the Great Lakes and Northeast by Thursday night into Friday. The classic signature of this track is heavy rainfall along the coastal Northeast from New York City through southern New England. Strong northeast winds developing along the coast, potential coastal flooding in low-lying areas from Long Island through Cape Cod, and the possibility of late-season snow in the interior highlands, the Adirondacks, the Catskills, and the green and white mountains of Vermont and New Hampshire, where snow remains climatologically possible into mid-May. Boston, Providence, Hartford, and Albany are all in the zone where this developing storm could deliver a significant late-week rain and wind event. If you are in the Northeast and you have outdoor plans this Friday or this weekend, watch the forecast progression closely, Wednesday and Thursday, as the guidance sharpens around the merger track and intensity. For the Great Lakes and Midwest, the trailing cold front from the merged system produces additional rounds of showers and thunderstorms as it sweeps through the region Thursday and Friday. The severe weather potential behind the merger front is lower than the Wednesday Plains event, but not zero. Organized wind and hail-producing storms are possible along the frontal passage from Michigan through Ohio and into Pennsylvania Thursday night. Let me give you the honest big picture. What is happening this week is not an isolated meteorological event. It is the continuation of a large-scale atmospheric pattern that has been running since the first week of March, driven by the same Canadian blocking feature that refuses to dislodge, the same repeated Gulf moisture return, and the same sequence of Pacific energy ejections that have fueled every major outbreak and flooding event of this spring. The closed upper low over eastern Canada that has been the engine of this entire season is still there, still spinning, still ejecting shortwave energy downstream across the central and eastern United States. The machine has not stopped. What makes this week different from prior weeks is the magnitude of the Pacific contribution. The closed low tracking in from the southwest is a more energetic, more persistent upper-level feature than the short waves that preceded it. When it merges with the Canadian low's trough energy late in the week, the combined system carries more potential than either of the contributing features alone. The resulting cyclogenesis over the northeast is the most significant large-scale weather development in the past 10 days, and the one that is going to affect the most people in the most diverse ways simultaneously. The 2026 season has already produced a tornado emergency for Brookhaven, Mississippi. It produced the April 22nd through 24th outbreak, including the Enid EF4. It has delivered the first confirmed damaging tornado in West Virginia in over a decade. It has driven the Southeast's worst drought since 1895, while simultaneously flooding the Ohio Valley. And the seasonal peak has not arrived. The most historically active week in American tornado records, May 19th through 26th, is less than 2 weeks away. The large-scale pattern shows no signs of breaking down before that window opens. Here's exactly where you stand today, Monday, May 9th, 2026. Storm 1, the Canadian blocking low, has been anchored over central Canada for nearly 2 weeks. It is driving the cold front that currently extends from the Great Lakes into the Central Plains. Monday night brings isolated severe thunderstorms along that front from Kansas through Indiana and Ohio. Overnight alerts are required tonight. Storm 2, the Pacific closed low, is crossing the interior southwest right now. It delivers late-season mountain snow to Wyoming and Colorado through Wednesday, with 6+ inch probabilities above 8,000 feet. It ejects into the Central Plains Tuesday night and drives a significant severe weather event. Wednesday night from western Oklahoma through central Kansas and southern Nebraska. Large hail, damaging winds, and a tornado threat are all probable in that corridor Wednesday night. The merger arrives Wednesday night into Thursday. Surface cyclogenesis over the northern plains and upper Midwest. Heavy rainfall flooding threat from the Mississippi Valley through the Ohio Valley and Tennessee Valley Thursday. Developing coastal storm over the northeast Thursday night into Friday with heavy rain, strong winds, and late-season snow possible in the interior highlands. Trailing frontal severe weather threat for Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania Thursday night. And behind all of it, the May 19th through 26th window approaching in a pattern that has shown no interest in quieting down. Know your shelter. Set your overnight alerts before Monday night. Watch the Wednesday severe weather setup closely Tuesday evening as the guidance finalizes. And for communities in the Mississippi Valley and Ohio Valley, have your flash flood awareness active from Wednesday night through Friday. 2 large storms are coming together fast, and the week ahead will make that very clear.